Up next, we have an interview with Mr. McConnell. I would like to thank Mr. McConnell for helping us. I know that the Regent's podcast team was very excited that he agreed to do an interview with us. It sounds like he has a very interesting story, and I'm sure you'll like it as well. Here it is.
Thank you, Mr. McConnell, for agreeing to be the first teacher to be interviewed on the Regent's podcast. Sorry, sir, but how old are you?
Well, right in with a hard question. I am 38 years old.
That sounds really good. Not too old. Okay, the next question. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born in Glasgow in Scotland and then moved to Livingston, which is another large town in Scotland, and then moved on to England after university.
Well, that's really cool. How was it? How was it there?
In Livingston, it was pretty good. My school was very big. There was about 2,500 students there, but it was a lovely new school, so the facilities were excellent. Very good fun.
Oh, well, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have one older sister. She's 4 years older than me, and she is also a primary teacher.
Oh, when you go to school, does your parents give you a lot of pocket money?
They gave me some pocket money each week, but I also had some jobs. I delivered newspapers to people's houses, and I also delivered milk to people's houses, so I earned a lot of money. It wasn't a lot of money, maybe just about 1,000 baht a week equivalent, delivering papers and delivering milk. So
That's really a lot. And when you're at school, what was your favorite subject? Is it PE?
easy answer, PE.
When you were a child, what did you want to be?
Easy answer, PE teacher.
I heard you were in the army. Is it true?
Yeah, that's true. I was never a full-time soldier. I was always in the reserves back in the UK, and I'm still currently serving. I've done 10 years in the reserve forces, yes.
Oh. Can you tell us some things about it? Any funny stories?
Yeah, I've got lots of funny stories. Some of them maybe not publishable on a student podcast, but I'll give you a nice clean one. When we were in Iraq on an operational tour, we found a really large stone, and we called it Hamish the brick. We drew a face on it, and the whole idea was to hide it in the bottom of someone's bag. And this one young boy carried Hamish the stone around for 2 weeks without realising he had this massive stone in the bottom of his rucksack, and he just didn't realise why it was so heavy. And that was his fault for not checking his bag. So that's a very clean story that I could tell you about the army.
When you were in the army, do you travel?
Yep, got lots of opportunity to travel. As I said, went to Iraq, so that means I've also been to Kuwait. Been to Kuwait, I've been to South Africa. I've been to Germany, I've been to Belgium. Where else have I been through the army? Maybe we'd had a chance to go to Afghanistan, but instead we decided to move to Thailand instead. So yes, I've travelled quite a lot with the army.
Wow, you had great time in the army. Next question. How long have you been teaching for?
I've been teaching for 15 years now.
Well, 15 years, then you must be pro. Have you taught other subject or just PE?
I mainly taught PE. I worked for 4 years in a special school for children where I also taught maths and a little bit of history, but don't tell Mr. Walton that in case he gives me a job as a maths teacher.
That's fine. Then we are such a lucky student because Mr. McConnell taught 15 years for a lot of students. So, if you leave our school, we will be like so sad. Then, how long do you plan to stay here?
Well, Mrs. McConnell and myself and our children are now in our second year of teaching. We plan to be here for another year, so our first contract runs out after a 3-year period. But if we are as happy now as what we are at the end of 3 years, then I could see us staying at Regent's for a long time.
Well, you taught a lot of students, right? So there must be ideal students for you. Who could you describe your ideal students?
Maybe about my height, sort of Scottish, fat. No, I'm only joking. That's me. Sorry. My ideal student would be someone who enjoys school, works hard, and tries to do the best they can with whatever ability they have. It doesn't need to be the cleverest or the fastest or the strongest. Just do the best with whatever you've been given and try hard and enjoy school. And also, you must have a sense of humour. You must be able to laugh. That's my favourite type of students.
Well, I think I have to try my best to be his ideal student. And what is your favorite sport?
My favourite sport, which is absolutely no use for teaching PE at all, is karate. I started training when I was 5 years old and trained all the way through till my mid-20s, and I was lucky enough to fight for Scotland and Great Britain, and was very lucky enough to be the European champion at one point, but that was a long, long time ago.
Oh, interesting. Do you follow a football team, and who is it?
Glasgow Rangers!
Oh yeah, and who or what inspires you?
Glasgow Rangers!
Is there a particular community organization that you have been involved in?
Since coming to the school, the Regent's, the whole round square aspect of the Regent School was something that really attracted Mrs. McConnell and I to come to the school, and we've had the opportunity to work with lots of groups. We've been up to Croston House up in Lampoon, but I think the one closest to us that Mrs. McConnell and I are like the best is the blind school down in Pattaya. It's a smashing little school, and we would like to try and encourage them to come to use our facilities, our pool, and work with them a bit more closely. So I think the blind school is the one that we have personal interest in, yes.
What have you got planned for the half-term break?
Well, after the senior games are over and we get a bit of a rest, I'm planning to go over with the family to Angkor Wat over in Cambodia for a few days, then maybe just travel around and hit the beach, maybe a little bit of windsurfing, a bit of diving, really just take things very, very easy. Might even sneak a couple of beers in there over the holiday. Just a couple though.
Then have fun for the half-term break, sir. And thank you for your time, Mr. McConnell.
I'd like to thank Mr. McConnell for being the first teacher that we've interviewed. Even though I wasn't asking Mr. McConnell questions, I was just sitting and observing and doing the technical side of the interview. I learned a lot about Mr. McConnell that I wouldn't have known without this. Hopefully, it will be the same for our listeners who listen to the podcast. I want to wish everyone a good half-term break, because you might not hear from us again before then. But if you do, we'll try to have more interesting stuff for you. Thank you everybody for listening. This is our first podcast. We hope you enjoy. Cheers.